Welcome to Chapter 6 and 7, where we're going to be doing new company setups in QuickBooks. Chapter 6 will be a new company setup using the detailed start, and then Chapter 7 will be express start. So lots of data entry with both Chapters 6 and 7. Definitely the most time-consuming chapters that we'll cover in the course. One of the most questions that I get asked, one of the most popular questions that I get asked in regards to Chapter 6 and 7 is the fact that there's no prepared company file to open on your student data resources that you get. And that's because with Chapters 6 and 7, you have to create and set up the company file for Kristen, Raina, and also your cases as well. So what we're going to do is we're going to assume that Kristen Raina began her interior design business in January 2014. And what we're going to do is we're going to convert her company's accounting records to QuickBooks using the detailed start method, which is covered in Chapter 6. So before we create the company, in the real world, you'd of course need all of the company information, the name, address, tax ID, the general ledger account names, account numbers, customer information, any outstanding balances, also vendor information, balances as well. If there's any service items or billing amounts, you would need those as well. Inventory, sales tax, all of those, all of that information you would need to create and set up your new company file. So to begin, what we want to do is, because we don't have a starting file, we have to go to Create New Company. The next item we're going to select is the detailed start, which is what's covered in Chapter 6. When we get in here into the detailed start, this is going to take us through what's called the easy step interview. And we have to put in the company's information, etc. We put in a fake identification number. We put in the address, etc. Click on Next. Next, we're going to do select your industry, and for this one we're going to go through and we're going to choose all the way at the bottom the general product-based business. Click on Next, and then in this section we're going to choose that it is a sole proprietorship. Go through your steps. Again, click Next. When does your year start? Click Next. I really do not want you to put in an administrator password, because if you forget your password, there's no way for me to help you get your password back. So just leave the password blank. Click on Next. And now what we're going to do is create our company file. I'm going to hit on Next, and it's going to ask me where I would like to save it. I'm going to click Save. So the next part is we're going to customize QuickBooks, and I'm going to hit on Next, and it's going to ask me what I sell, services, products. I'm going to do both services and products in this example. Do you charge sales tax? Yes, keep that as the default. Again, just keep these next questions as a default. If you want to track customer orders, I'm going to click Yes. Use statements, invoicing, progress invoicing is not necessary. Yes, we want to manage our bills. For right now, we're going to leave the inventory off. We can always add that on later. And that's what you have to realize in the new company setup, is if you do choose something, yes or no, you didn't choose it correctly, it's okay, because you can always go back in and turn it on or off in QuickBooks under your preferences. So for now, I'm just going to kind of skip through, and I'm not going to add any other employees. We haven't gotten to payroll yet. And then I'm going to click on Next. And I'm just going to start that we're going to begin this year. Actually, we can choose in our book the date here for 1/2014. Click on Next. And then they have a bunch of recommended accounts. And they're going to have you go through and add certain accounts or uncheck other accounts. So just follow along with your textbook. And again, you can always go back into your chart of account under lists, and you can always modify your chart of account as needed. All right, so now we've completed the easy step, and we're going to go to Setup. But as you can see, we're not done setting up our company. We still have to add in the people we do business with, which is the first section, add in any products or services that we sell, and then add any bank accounts that we have. So you can always, by the way, go in and out of this QuickBooks setup by clicking on Start Working. If I get out of this, I click on Start Working, it will take me into my company file. And then if I want to go back into the Quick Start Center, I can just go into Return to Add Info, and then it will take me back into where I was. So just heads up, you can always go in and out. So if I want to add the people that I do business with, I'm going to do Add. But be careful with this because we're going to enter it manually. And this is what's going to take you the most time in both chapters 6 and 7 is entering in all the data. But be aware that you're adding both customers and vendors at the same time. So be careful with that. Once, for example, you add in, I'm just going to add this in, Bob's. I'm going to click on Continue. Be very careful because once you put in all your customers and vendors, this is your opportunity to enter in their opening balances. A lot of students forget to do this part and then hit Continue. You want to go ahead and put in your opening balances. So let's say that Bob's had a balance of 500 and then do Continue. So make sure that you enter in, once you have entered in all the vendor and customer information, you then want to go in and do the opening balances at this time. This is a really big time saver. You can go ahead and enter those in, then do Continue, and then click Continue here at the end. The next section is going to be about adding the products and services that we sell. So obviously the services that we sell, this is for the Kristen Reyna. The service items are going to be, for example, the design services, and then there's also the decorating services. You can add those in. I'm not going to put in a price. And then just do Continue. And then also you can always go in and add more. So now if we want to go in and add products we sell, you're going to do a part. And we're going to go in here and continue with this. Okay, so this is where you can add in the carpets, the drapes, the lamps, etc. That you want to sell. So as you can see though, my inventory is not turned on. If I go back in and do Start Working, so I'm going to go back and I'm going to go up and I'm going to actually turn on my inventory, because when I was first asked the questions when I set up my company, I chose no as far as tracking inventory. But yes, we are tracking inventory. So this is just an opportunity to show you that even though I answered the question wrong, I can go back into QuickBooks and make the change. Under Edit Preferences, and we'll get more into preferences, more than you ever wanted to know, in Chapter 12. I can go in here and I can go in under Items and Inventory, and under Company Preferences, I can turn on my inventory. Click OK. Okay, let QuickBooks just refresh here. Once QuickBooks is back up and refreshed, I can go up to Help, and then I can go back into my Quick Start Center, and then go back to Return to Add Additional Information, click on Add More, and now notice Inventory is an option. Okay, then of course you'd add in your carpets, etc. Okay. All right, so let's continue. So when you go through, you enter in all of your information. I'm going to click on Continue. Okay, and then I'm just going to go in and start working. So I'm going to pretend that I entered in all of the information that I needed to. What's nice is that you can always go back in to the Quick Start here, the Quick Start Center, and you can always continue if you want to add more customers or add more vendors. But the very last part of your chapter, you're going to go in and edit your chart of accounts. So I'm going to go up to Lists, Chart of Accounts, and I'm going to enlarge this here. So in here, I can go in and I can, under the account activities, I can add a new account, or I can edit an account, or delete an account. Right away that you can see that the account numbers are not on. If I again go up to edit and go to preferences, I'm going to choose accounting here, and then I'm going to go to company preferences, use account numbers, click OK. Now I have account numbers, and then if I need to modify those as needed, I can. It's very simple to do. The next part of your chapter I'm going to discuss is on page 6-41, which would be about customizing your payment terms. These are kind of hidden in QuickBooks. To find these, you're basically going to go up to lists, and then you're going to go down to customer and vendor profile lists, and then choose terms list. So it's kind of hidden in there. And what the terms list allows you to do is to add or modify terms that you have in here. For example, you have a 2% discount if it's paid within 10 days, or it has to be paid within 30 days. Maybe you want to change that. If I go in and do edit, you can change that. You know, maybe you want it to be a 3% discount or whatever the case. You can click on OK, and then obviously change this to say 3. Click on OK, and then I have a new terms that's added. So you can always add them, modify them, delete them as needed. And then of course, if I go back here to my home page, and let's say that I was making an invoice. Again, I'm talking about the terms that you see right here. Those are what you're going to see that are, again, found under lists, customer and vendor profile lists, and then terms list. So now I'm on page 6-48, and now we're going to complete the new company setup, again, using the accrual basis. So note that when we added in the accounts receivable, accounts payable, meaning our customers, our vendors, our inventory accounts, and we put in that information, we also put in the opening balances, okay? Because we put in the opening balances, you'll see that in the journal, for example, when we set up Bell's Carpet Design, who was a vendor, you're going to see accounts payable, but then you're going to see uncategorized expenses. We can't leave those as uncategorized. Just as if I go up higher here, a couple customers that we entered in, you're going to see uncategorized income. Again, we cannot leave those that way. So on page 6-49, you're going to go through and enter in the remaining of your opening balances. However, we're going to enter in one big giant journal entry, and then we're going to credit capital for the remainder, which is $54,510. So our total debits are $75,600, and our credits are also $75,600. If your numbers are off, QuickBooks will not let you enter in the journal entry without it being in balance. Now I'm on the bottom of page 6-51. And on our journal, which is on the following page, you'll see, and actually here I have it here, you'll see the Burger Bakery and Franco Films. We have to move that uncategorized income, and we have to move it to our capital account. And what we're going to do is we're going to do a journal entry for that. So up under company, make general journal entry. All right, once I'm in here, I'm going to go in and I'm going to enter in those uncategorized expenses. And if we look at those, we're going to do the income first. So the uncategorized income. I'm on the bottom of page 6-51. If you add up Burger Bakery and Franco Films, the total is $1,540. We want that uncategorized to be a zero balance. So what we're going to do is, because these were opening balance entries when we first added in those customers, we're going to move that money and we're going to move it into capital. So we're going to do a journal entry where we debit the income and then we credit capital, and that will clear out that uncategorized income account. On page 6-53, we go into reversing the uncategorized expenses account. And the total accounts, if you add up all of these, are $97.50. Once we add those up, you get the balance. We can then go in and then enter in the journal entry for moving those uncategorized expenses into the capital account. And again, you can see the $97.50 in balance. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go up and I'm going to run a trial balance under accountant and taxes, trial balance. And you can see here that I need to change my dates. There we go. And what I want to show you is, notice that the uncategorized expenses has a zero balance, and also so does the uncategorized income, which is right here. Notice that those have a zero balance, which is exactly what we want. So that means that when I go in and then I run my reports, so let's say that I'm going to run my profit and loss, you can see that there isn't anything outstanding as far as the uncategorized income that's out there or expense. You can see my net income looks great. And then, of course, I'm going to also run my balance sheet. So again, I'm going to go to Reports, Company and Financial, under the balance sheet. And again, we're looking good here. Numbers look good. So everything ties out. So the last part is backing up the new company file. You can absolutely, make a backup of it. That's fine. I reviewed that back in the first chapter of the course. So that, in a nutshell, is Chapter 6. The very last discussion is about Chapter 7. I'm not going to do a separate video for Chapter 7 because it is basically the same process in doing a new company setup, but just in a different way. There's two methods of the new company setup. There's the detailed, which I just covered in Chapter 6. And then in Chapter 7, you're going to learn how to do the new company setup, but we're going to use the Express Start method. With this method, you don't use the Easy Setup interview. Instead, you directly go into QuickBooks and turn things on or off as you wish. And then in addition, you're not going to use the setup window to enter information. You're going to go right into the vendor center, right into the customer center, right into the chart of account. You're going to modify things right in QuickBooks. So again, you're going to go to New Company for Chapter 7, but this time you're going to do Express Start, meaning you're going to answer just some basic questions, and then QuickBooks will do the rest. So that's the big difference with Chapter 7 compared to Chapter 6. Again, both time-consuming chapters, but I think students generally prefer Chapter 7 as you have more control. You just jump in and change things as you wish. So that is the end of my lecture. Thank you.